Now let's get started with push notification. So for push notification, we will be going with Firebase messaging package. So we will add this package inside our PubSpec. We will come to pubspec.yaml of our project, and here we will introduce this Firebase messaging package. Next, we have to go to Firebase console, go to our project, and here we have to enable Firebase messaging. So here we will go authentication. Okay. Here we do have this messaging inside engage. We do have this messaging here. So we will click up here and set up messaging. So we will go with Firebase notification message. Create. Okay. So before we get started, we have to set up some functions inside our project. So we will head over to lib common controller services, and here we will go with a new folder, Firebase push notification services. Okay, here we will introduce a new file, and it's going to be push notification services dot class push notification services. And yeah, so here we will add some functions to handle the push notification foreground and background. So we will come up here and let's take this example, and here you will find that we have they have introduced us the entire guide, like how to implement the entire messaging thing. So if you like, you can go with the documentation or you flow with me. At first, we will go with a function and we will name it initialize Firebase messaging. Okay. So let's go with static Firebase messaging equals Firebase messaging equals Firebase messaging dot instance. Okay. So we have created an instance. So it's going to be initializing Firebase messaging instance. Now coming up next, we will go with a function, static future initialize Firebase messaging. Okay, so here we will go with, here we will accept two parameters. That's going to be profile data model, profile data, and the next one is going to be build context. Okay, so here we will go with await, and it's going to be an asynchronous function. So await Firebase messaging dot request permission. So at first we will request permission, like the push notification permission, and here we'll go with if user, or you can say if profile data dot user type equals, let's have a look onto the types of user. You will go to real-time database, And here we do have user. Let's have a look. It's customer, and another type of user, it's partner. So here it's going to be partner. Then we will go and initialize background and foreground messaging for partner. Else we will initialize background and foreground messaging for, what do you say, normal writer. So here we'll go with Firebase messaging dot on background message. So what we're gonna do if we encounter a background message is basically means like that your app is in background. That's it. So, and now it's time that we configure for foreground. So here it's going to be Firebase message dot on message dot listen, and it's going to be remote message, and here we will go with if message dot notification not equals to null, then we will trigger some functions. And the next is going to be, what if the user type is a customer, or you can say a writer. So we will copy this code, paste up here. Okay, now we are good. So next thing we want to make sure, like what we want to do if we have a background message, what we're going to do if it's a foreground message. Okay, here we will create a function to fetch write request ID. To make sure that our Firebase messaging works perfectly, we have to add intent filter inside our Android manifest file. So we will head over to Android app source main Android manifest, and here we have to add an intent filter, that is this. So let's align them, and yeah, we are good. Now we will head over to push notifications. Here we will introduce some more functions. So another function is going to be static get write request ID. So it's going to be remote message, and here we will go with string write ID equals message.data, and here we will go with write request ID, and we will print the write ID and then return write ID. So let's import developer here. Okay, make sure you are not importing .math because this log is not that math log. So next we want to make sure that we get Firebase token. Okay, so we'll write a function to get Firebase token and upload that token in users database. So static. So let's have a look like what is this Firebase token. It's basically uniquely recognize your mobile. So suppose user X want to send a toast message to user Y, and it's going to send only to user Y, not everyone. So at that time we do need the token, that is it uniquely identifies the user. So we will go with static future and get token, and it's going to be profile data model asynchronous, and here we will go with string token equals to await Firebase messaging dot get token. And here we have got a token. Now we will show the token. Cloud messaging token is token. Now let's upload this token into our database. So we will go with database reference token ref equals Firebase database dot instance dot ref dot child, and it's going to be the path of our database. User slash auth dot, we have to import the constants file for this auth dot current user dot phone number. Let's add a null check here, and then we will go with cloud messaging token, and here we will now put the token. So token ref dot set token. So what it will do is that it will collect a unique token, and then inside our database model it will create a new field that is going to be cloud messaging token, and inside cloud messaging token it will save the latest token. Let's save it. And coming up next, we will go with another function. So let's create functions for customer and for customer section and driver section. So basically we do have these nulls here. So those functions will be populated here. So here we'll go with customer functions, customer cloud messaging functions, and here we will go with driver cloud messaging functions. Here instead of customer, let's go with rider. And yeah, let's introduce some functions here. Static future, and let's it be a type of void. Firebase messaging background handler customer, and here we will accept remote message, and it's going to be asynchronous. Okay, yeah, it's going to be static. Okay, so we have this background message handler function. Now it's time we go with foreground message handler function. Static, let's copy this, paste here, and instead of background it's going to be foreground, and this is also going to be the same, this content. We will copy this, paste up here, and we are good. Now it's time, let's introduce this foreground and background for driver. So we will copy this, create a comment here, and paste up here, and instead of customer it's going to be driver. and instead of customer here, it's going to be rider. Okay, so here we do want to go with some functions, like some logics to be executed. Here we'll go with string write id equals to get. Okay, we have introduced this function. Okay, get write request id. I'll copy this one, paste up here, get write request id, and it's going to be message. Okay, yeah, this is the background one, and inside foreground we will go with the same, that is get the write request id, and then we will create a function to fetch write request info. So let's create a function to fetch the write request info. We have this get token now, static fetch request write request info. Here we will go with string write id and build context. Okay, so here we have to go with this database ref. So I will just simply copy this one, paste this database ref, and it's going to be, I will just cut it out, go to console and copy this parameter, paste up here, and it's going to be write id. Okay, ref dot, it's going to be ref dot once. So what this once means, that we are pulling the data only once. So as you know, it's real-time database, we basically go with streams, but here we are pulling the data only once. Ref dot once dot then, here instead of value we will go with database event and inside this we will check if database event dot snapshot dot value not equals to null, then let's execute some function within it. So we will go with write request model equals to write request model, let's cut this, dot from map, and here it's going to be JSON decode, then here it's going to be JSON encode database event dot snapshot dot value. Okay, now let's add semicolon here, we will go with commas here. As value as map of string dynamic, string comma dynamic. So now let's save it. Okay, we can save it. So we will now log the model, log write request model dot to map dot to string, and then yeah, it's good up to now. So after fetching the write request model, we want to make sure that we show the driver a message here that yeah, you have a new trip request, you want to accept it or cancel it. So we will make it later. Here, just let's go with a comment that show a dialog to accept write request. Okay. So now we will come with dot on error show exception error. Okay. Let's close this one. Now here we will come at top. Here we do have this initialize Firebase messaging. We have this partner thing. So we will cut this one. Firebase handler, background handler for driver. And here we will go with Firebase foreground handler driver. Same we will go with here. Firebase background handler rider. And here inside if not equals to null, we will go with Firebase foreground handler rider. And we are good. So let's have a look. Here we do have this function to initialize foreground and background message, and this function to get write request ID. These functions for foreground, like whatever we will execute inside foreground and background of rider, these functions for foreground and background of driver. Here this function to get token for every single device, and here this function to fetch write request info.